Hi, my name is Richard Keller, and I'm back with another class project for emerging technologies. This one is week 3 and 4. This I've done in AndEngine, so I have my Nexus tablet here, and what I planned to do was have an application that a game that you would take a picture of yourself and line your nose up with some crosshairs, and then just take a picture, display it on the screen, and then end up tapping your nose, and the game would be called Pin a Rose on Your Nose. And when you tap your nose, a rose would appear there, and then you'd win. If you missed and got too far away from your nose, or too far away from the center, because I didn't have enough time and didn't have the resources to do face tracking software or face tracking system. I ended up making a much simpler game due to time constraints and due to the fact that the camera is kind of a real big pain to do in AndEngine. So I'm going to end up doing that in Unity as well. But for this game, let's just take a look. It says, touch the rose to begin. And I added some sound effects. For my little extra stuff, I also added images for the app icon so that you can, it won't be like a generic looking app. Basically, we have two things here. If you tap the nose, you win. If you tap the hose, you lose. So let's tap the nose real quick. Got a nose there. You win. Back to the main menu. And you lose there. And that's basically it. We'll go and look at some code. So here we are looking at the code for Pin a Rose on Your Nose. There's quite a bit of overhead for beginning an AndEngine project, so I'm not going to cover every single thing that I did. Mostly the big points. I created an asset manager, a scene manager, and just some other things to encapsulate some of the processes so that not everything was done in a few big files. But basically, I have here's where I set up the asset manager and initialize my own classes there. These files, or these methods, sorry, on create, on engine options, and on create resources are all part of simple base game activity, which is an AndEngine class that overrides the regular activity class from the Android architecture. Create resources and create scene and on update are also a part of that AndEngine architecture. So anyway, we have I loaded a few images to my rose, my nose, and my hose, and they all have enumerated keys assigned with them. You are made to specify their specific size, which is a little bit of an annoying trait that this engine has. I have 3 sounds as well. The bell sound that you hear when going for when switching scenes from the main menu to the game and then back, and the cheer when you win, and the awe sound when you lose. This here sets up the scene itself, and in Game Manager is where I do all the initialization, which basically calls the init methods of main menu scene and game scene. So let's go to main menu scene first, and basically this init scene is what's called at that point. Everything else is done in sort of an on update fashion. So it's a little messy, but these are all the fonts that I had, or the fonts, and then the text images that I have, not images, the text fields that I have, specify their locations and the creation of that, and then the one rose from the main menu. Down here is an abstract inner. I forget the exact name of it in Java, but basically it's a way to define a method unique to, or override a method without overriding the entire class. So you can just sort of on the create have this little space out here in order to create overridden methods, and that's what I've done because all I need to do with this on area touch, and instead of create a whole new file, I just created this little block of code here. Basically, on area touched event, and we're looking for up. We're going to check that we're in the main menu scene. If we're not, then something's wrong. But we're not going to go and try to go into the game scene. We're not in the main menu, so it doesn't apply. But if we are, we play the bell sound, and then we go ahead and switch scenes. The rest of this is attaching it to the actual main scene object, which is required, and then the touched area, in order for any of this to show up and be functional and receive the touch input. Enter and exit screen you'll find in game scene as well. These are basically when you switch scenes, you enter the scene, all this, all these things become visible. On the way out, all these things become invisible. Pretty basic way of doing it, but let's go ahead and look at game scene. Again, we have init scene and my private members here. We have these text objects, again, for just saying you win, you lose, which are hidden at the beginning, but then we show them depending on what the user does. Touch this flower to go back to the main menu so that the user knows they can go back to the main menu, and then also there's the flower display. Here we're loading the sound objects in order to be able to play them later. And this is the nose. Obviously, if you coming into this block of code for just overriding one method, we have if we're in the game scene and the game over flag has not been flipped yet, then go ahead and flip it. Say that we've chosen something, play the sound that we've won, and then show this pinned rose on the spot where we tapped, and then set all these other things visible. We need in order to go back text, the rose, and then the text that says we won. The hose is similar but opposite in that instead of win text we get lose text, and we play the awe sound instead of the hooray sound or the cheering. Pinned rose, basically, I'm sorry, it doesn't have any of this. It's just set to 0, 0 at the beginning and shrunk a little bit so that we can tell, it looks a little bit different from our rows, which we go back to the main menu with, which is right here. Enter and exit scene look very similar to main menu, just a few things are different there. But that's basically everything. Thanks very much.